tell me the price on that per second, what we're spending on the war that you were told?
$5,000 a second.
$5,000 a second?
$300,000 a minute.
Jeez.
I think so. I think I need a calculator. Yeah, times 24.
That means instead of buying out these big companies, big corporations, if they just give the poor assholes that lost their houses, you know, $1.8 million each, the whole thing would be over.
Oh, you got it?
But then those big guys up top couldn't get their salaries.
Well, another benefit, huh?
Another benefit.
I appreciate that, you know, a veteran sign.
Now, is that a veteran sign?
Well, that sign's been around a bit.
Uh-huh.
I picked that up in L.A.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had a big march in L.A. about 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And they've had several since then, but I was at the one 2 years ago and found that just outside the CNN building.
All right.
In Hollywood.
It's got a good message.
Well, I saw it and I thought, yeah, baby, you're coming home with me.
I know where I can use that. Yeah.
Yep.
You want to tell me about Article 5?
Well, Joe, are you on my list? And then
Yes, and I do get your little updates.
well, then look, I have a piece on Article 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll refer to that.
Where you stand.
In a nutshell, what is it?
Well, fifth article, framers knew very well that there might come a situation where you have a spineless Congress afraid to deal with an impeachable president, vice president, and all the other retinue. It says that you can at any time, the people at any time can call a convention. They call it a constitutional convention, but all you can do is change the amendments. And yet you could put in an amendment that when Congress fails to do its duty, it's like a national referendum, and it works like a caucus. Each state would call a constitutional amendment, really an amendment convention, and anybody could go. It worked like a caucus, and they would decide what to do about this person. And because we have an internet and whatnot, we could really coordinate what the charges are.
Uh-huh.
You would call this, then Congress has to accept 3/4 of an amendment if it's passed by the state. In effect, it would be like a national referendum. And if we had that, you're either going to shoot people in the streets and have a revolution, or you're going to do it peaceably by the Constitution. The framers were geniuses in thinking this situation up. They knew there would come a time when you have a terrified legislature. And unlike if you don't have a parliament, if we had a parliament, the government would have fallen a long time ago.
So to research a little bit more about this, we would just look into Article 5.
Just open your Constitution, look up Article 5. The only amendment, the only subject that kind of Article 5 says you can't touch is the power to tax. Anything to do with taxes. Anything to do with taxes. And the leader in this is Joel Hirschhorn in Maryland, Chevy Chase. He's former professor of structural engineering at Wisconsin-Madison, and then went to the Hill as a member of the Office of Technology Assessment, which is the forerunner to Science and Tech Community System, and worked with them for more than a dozen years, and then drafted bills, trained people to speak at hearings, and has testified 50 times. But he said, because we had a long talk when I was in Washington last week, he said, Congress isn't doing anything. The Democrats aren't doing anything because the DLC has ordered then there will be no impeachment because we'll lose the election. And so, I mean, all this stuff about we're going to bring down Pelosi and we're going to bring down, you got to deal with the DLC. He said the country will be, in an uproar. We were in the middle of the beginning of this meltdown. Call a amendment convention according to Article 5 of the Constitution.
That would have to be kind of a grassroots organization, wouldn't it? I mean,
it's absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's you don't want. I mean, the people that run the parties in the states and in the districts, they're doing what the Democrats. They're doing what the DLC has ordered them to do. This would be our groups. We cannot get anything out of Blumenauer. They're cowardly, but they've been ordered not to put impeachment on the table because we might lose the election. Well,
they might lose the election anyway, and maybe they lose their own re-elections by not addressing these issues.
What we're doing. Mark's blank vote campaign. I'm going to do that with our House members and with our senators. I mean, they don't do what we want them to do, and they're totally unresponsible. I'm going to leave the ballot blank for both my district, Earl Blumenauer, in the 3rd Congressional District, and for Merkley.
I like the statement that makes. My only thought on that is I might be voting for Michael Mayo.
Well, the thing is, you're not, because the parties, they count. If you're in a minority party, they don't care.
Yeah. If I'm a Democrat,
if you are a registered Democrat and you are turning, it's called an undervote, and for a House and Senate person, you don't vote. The party suffers, and the first thing they always say, then you're going to vote for McCain. Hey, the Democratic Party has screwed us over. And when I was in Washington, the people who are heading this
IN stands for
National Impeachment Network.
Okay.
We have a coordinator in every state. I'm the one for Oregon.
Good job, Barbra.
Yeah, but we have 157 activist groups here in town. We have 3 impeachment groups, and we are in contact with them. NIN was formed in April, and by now we had 4 coordinators. I was one of them. They have now close to over 50. So the reach is almost 250,000 people. Because it deals with all the activist groups in the state, or in a case where you have a large state, such as Massachusetts, they have 2 or 3. So, you're getting all that. But this is why, we're doing a blank vote on that to awaken people here in Oregon, and it's been picked up nationally. Well, in Washington, the Linda Boyd, who almost got the impeachment resolution twice through the legislature, was a super activist up there. She was not. She has a different slogan, but it's the same as we were using down here after the 2006 election, when our reps went back, did nothing about the war.